Greetings, fellow dungeon delvers, and welcome to Dorans and Dragons, where we work together to come up with Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition builds for your favorite League of Legends champions. Today we're building Illaoi, the Kraken Priestess. Illaoi is a truth-bearer of Nagaka Boros, the god of life, ocean storms, and motion. As a truth-bearer, she has two very important duties. The first is to eradicate undead whenever they're discovered. Their presence is seen as an abomination to Nagaka Boros and cannot be tolerated. The second is to seek out people with the potential to do great things. She uses her imbued idol to strip the person's spirit from their body and bear it for judgment. Those found wanting are destroyed in a storm of spectral tentacles, but those who are worthy gain the strength to fulfill their destiny. While most truth-bearers have written off Bilgewater as a squalid waste, Illaoi stepped up and defended them from the harrowing, and has even set up a few temples to Nagaka Boros in the city. Though many seek her favor, they deeply fear failing her test of spirit. Before we get started with the build, go ahead and like the video and hit that subscribe button so you're always notified when we release our builds. We'd like to thank one of this month's Doran's Blade patrons, Benjamin Toro. Thank you so much for your support. It means a lot to us. Benjamin chose Illaoi to build as part of the rewards for our Blade tier patrons. Speaking of Blade tier rewards, this month's homebrew is the Hidden City, based on Bandle City. We released last month's homebrew, the First Lands, on the DM's Guild if you're interested in seeing that. Come join us on Patreon for some awesome rewards, including that monthly homebrewed content. Alright, now let's get into it. Here's a quick preview of the build. For race, we're going with Variant Human. Per usual, our stats are going to be determined using the standard array. Down the line of priority, we're going to go Max Charisma, Strength, Constitution, Dexterity, Wisdom, and we'll finally dump Intelligence. Our leveling path is all 20 levels in Warlock, with some caveats we'll discuss. Illaoi's passive, Prophet of an Elder God, and Q, Tentacle Smash, is going to come from Tentacle of the Deeps. Her W, Harsh Lesson, comes from Eldritch Smite. Our E is going to be the combination of Simulacrum and Tether Essence, but more on that later. And finally, we get our ultimate, Leap of Faith, from Grasping Tentacles. For race, we're heading back to a staple of the channel with Variant Human. We're going to pick up a +1 to our Strength and Charisma, proficiency with Persuasion, since we got to go door to door with those Nagaka Boros pamphlets, and the final feature we'll get is the bread and butter of Variant Humans, which is the Free Feat. Since Illaoi is a very strong and durable warrior priestess, we're going to take the Tough feat to make up for the abysmal hit points we'd have otherwise. Tough is going to give you additional hit points equal to twice your level, which those who are good at quick math will know this is 40 at max level. As a truth bearer of Nagaka Boros, Acolyte is the best background option for us. That's going to give us proficiency with Religion and Insight, as well as the Shelter of the Faithful feature. Shelter of the Faithful basically gives you a free pass to any building of faith that represents your religion. As long as you remain in good standing, you'll always be welcomed in or helped, and you'll even get some healing if you provide any material components necessary. For stats, we're going with the standard array as usual. We're going to max out our Charisma to fully utilize the power of Nagaka Boros. Next, we'll take Strength, because her biceps are bigger than my head. Constitution is next, because surviving Bilgewater and the harrowing certainly shows some fortitude. After that, we'll go with Dexterity as a reflection of her combat experience. Our average stat is going to be Wisdom, and we'll finally dump Intelligence. Equipment is going to be relatively straightforward. I would ask your DM to allow you to flavor a club or a great club as your idol, since she switches between single-handed and two-handed grips and swings. Alrighty, now let's break down our key class levels. We're going to kick things off with a level in Warlock. As a warning, Warlocks are super front-loaded, so we're going to talk a lot about the first few levels, then things are going to taper off pretty hard. Warlocks have a D8 hit die and give us proficiency with light armor and simple weapons. You also get to pick 2 skill proficiencies. We're going with Nature and Intimidation. First level Warlocks pick their otherworldly patron to make a pact with and draw their powers from. Nagaka Boros is also known as the Great Kraken, so the Fathomless is a fairly obvious pick here. The Fathomless gives us 2 features at level 1, Gift of the Sea and Tentacles of the Deep. Gift of the Sea is going to turn us into a freaky fish lady with a swimming speed of 40 feet and the ability to breathe underwater. Tentacle of the Deeps are going to give us our passive and Q abilities. As a bonus action, you can summon a 10-foot long spectral tentacle that lasts for 1 minute, or until you create a new one. When you create the tentacle, you get a free attack against any creature within 10 feet of it. If it hits, you slow them by 10 feet, and they take 1d8 cold damage. On subsequent turns, you can use your bonus action to move the tentacle and attack with it again. This ability has charges based on your proficiency bonus, which recharges after a long rest. The final feature we're going to talk about this level is our pack slots and spells for this level. Now we're only going to cover the spells relevant to Illaoi, which aren't many, but first we need to discuss how you use your spells. Warlocks have a gimped spell slot system called Pack Magic. On the plus side, every spell you cast is at max level and they recharge on a short rest. On the downside, you have a very small pool of them. For our spells, the first we're going to pick up is a cantrip called Lightning Lure. This is going to be our test of spirit. If your DM dislikes the shenanigans, we're going to try and pull later in the video. You fire a lasso of lightning at your target and force a strength save on them. If they fail, they're pulled 10 feet towards you and take 1d8 lightning damage. The other spell we'll grab here is Arms of Hadar, which can be another way to unleash Nagaka Boros on your enemies. You let loose some tendrils, or tentacles, of dark energy around you, smacking everyone within 10 feet for 2d6 necrotic damage if they fail their save. They also can't take reactions, so feel free to skedaddle without worrying about an opportunity attack. Remember when I said they were front-loaded and you thought I was kidding? On to 2nd level Warlock, where we break down our Eldritch Invocations. These are a set of abilities a Warlock gains to make up for the abysmally low number of pack slots for their spells. Now we can't go over these without spoiling our Pact boon from next level, which is going to be a Pact of the Blade. We'll go over that in a minute. Now that being said, feel free to pick up whatever you'd like until level 5 when most of these come online. Some good options are Grasp of Hadar, Lance of Lethargy, and Agonizing Blast, to name a few. Once available though, you'll want to pick these ones up. Improved Pact Weapon is going to give our idol a +1 to damage and attack rolls, and let us use it as a spellcasting focus. Thirsting Blade is the Warlock equivalent of extra attack. You get to whack people twice with your big idol per attack action now. Eldritch Smite is going to be how we add the oomph from our W. Once per turn, you can spend one of your few pack slots to bring the pain, adding 1d8 force damage plus 1d8 per level of the spell slot. Also, you knock the target prone if it's huge or smaller. No save possible. We'll also add a little bit of damage from Life Drinker at level 12. This just lets you add your Charisma mod to any attack made with your packed weapon. Since we attack twice, that's a possible 10 free necrotic damage. Level 3 Warlocks receive a Pact boon from their patron. Like we said before, we're going with Pact of the Blade, which is going to let us turn our idol into a packed weapon. It'll count as magical for overcoming resistances, and we'll be able to summon it from and shunt it to an extra dimensional space. 4th level Warlocks start to unlock their ability score improvements. We tried clumping them all up last video as a test, and it seemed to go over well, so we're going to continue that going forward. With this build, we have no feats, so it's all stat bumps here. We're going to max out our strength and charisma, then round out our constitution. 4th level will be +2 strength, same with 8th level. At 12th level, we'll max our strength and round off the constitution. 16th level is going to have us bump our charisma by 2, and finally at level 19, we'll max our charisma with +2 as well. Level 5 Warlocks pick up 3rd level spells. We're going to continue along the Hadar Tentacle God train with Hunger of Hadar. You create a 20-foot radius sphere of shadowy tentacle goodness. Any creature that starts its turn there takes 2d6 cold damage, and any creature who ends its turn there takes 2d6 acid damage if they fail a dex save. 6th level Warlocks gain the Oceanic Soul feature. This gives us resistance to cold damage, and you can now talk to and understand any creature that's fully underwater with you. We also get Guardian Coil here, which is going to make your tentacles lash out and defend you and your allies. Anytime you or a creature takes damage within 10 feet of a tentacle, you can burn your reaction and reduce that damage by 1d8. We're skipping up to 10th level Warlock here because we've covered all the features in between. At 10th level, we're going to learn Grasping Tentacles, which we said is going to be our ultimate ability. We gain the spell Everd's Black Tentacles. We have the ability once per long rest to cast it without burning a pack slot as well. Casting the spell gives us our Warlock level and temporary hit points, and damage cannot break our concentration for the spell. Squirming Tentacles fill up a 20-foot square on the ground, turning it into difficult terrain. If a creature enters the area or starts their turn there, they have to succeed on a dex save or take 3d6 bludgeoning and be restrained until the spell ends, or they make the save on a subsequent turn. Skipping again to 13th level Warlock, at this and a few other levels, we get our Mystic Arcanum. These are once per long rest spells that our patron teaches us. Now this spell list is very narrow. However, there are 2 spells we can use in back-to-back turns to get our E. Simulacrum allows us to create an illusory duplicate of our target that exists as a creature and has half of its hit point maximum. Tether Essence is a spell that forces a Constitution save on 2 creatures, and if they fail, they're magically linked for the duration. Whenever one of the creatures is damaged, the same damage is dealt to the other one. These are both wizard spells, unfortunately, so you're going to have to either plead with your DM to get them as your Mystic Arcanum spells, or take 13 levels in wizard. Our final feature to discuss is also at our final level in the class. Eldritch Master allows us to Spirit Skype with Mkaka Boros and ask him to give us all of our spell slots back. We can only call him up once per long rest though, so try to use this sparingly. Alright, now that we've completed the build, let's see how we did. First, the good. We have more tentacles than those videos you promise your parents you don't watch. Illaoi's also going to be able to take her idol and bash in a dude's head while taking a decent amount of damage. We're also using almost every feature of the subclass, which isn't something we always get to do. Now the bad. The only major downside to this build is having to rely on your DM's kindness to get our E. We also don't technically do that much damage with our melee strikes, but making Illaoi anything other than max strength felt wrong. So what'd you think? I've included a link to this build via D&D Beyond in the description below, as well as Amazon links to the books used in this build. If you enjoy this type of content, please consider supporting us on Patreon. We have a few awesome rewards, including access to our Discord community and monthly homebrew releases. We plan on churning out one League Champion build every week. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll catch you on the Rift, or in the Forgotten Realms.